Hello friends! It has been a long time since I've posted any photos of new sculptures, and the reason for that is this little guy right here. Why has he taken so much longer than usual? Because I've made a video of the entire process from start to finish of making him. You're going to see that now. I've cut roughly 11 hours of video footage down into about 10 minutes of film for you to watch. I'm going to narrate over top of it, tell you what I'm doing, what's happening. Hopefully that will be interesting for you to watch, because if people watch it, I'll make more. If not, I'll just keep making sculptures and posting photos. That's fine with me. It has been pretty fun to make this though, so I hope you enjoy watching it. Also, a little shameless plug here, I do have an Etsy shop. I will link that below. And this guy will be for sale along with other sculptures. If you get to Etsy and this guy is not listed, that means he already sold. I think that's about it. Always wipe, stay off the pipe, and if a sucker gets ill, tell him I'm chillin'. Okay, what I'm doing right here is making an armature. That is kind of a skeleton for a sculpture made out of wire. And then you bulk it out so that you're not using all of your expensive clay. In a second here, there you go. This is some cheaper clay to bulk it out. It's also very lightweight clay. It's called Sculpey Ultralight. And it keeps your sculpture from being too heavy. Here you see me putting my good clay on top. This is Sculpey, Super Sculpey, medium blend. And I'm just smoothing it out to make the skin. I'm paunching out the belly here a little bit because I want him to be a chunk. And of course you need a nice badonkadonk if you're going to have a little character bathing in a tub of beer. Putting on his legs, I hollowed them out and then ran them over. And here I am bulking out the upper quad a little bit more, smoothing that in. Making the feet right now, this is a kind of detailed work because the toes are tiny. I do think feet and hands are important for a sculpture, and I spend as much time as I can on them, even though they're kind of difficult. I like how they look. I'm going to go ahead and skip the process of making the second one here and just show you the finished product in a moment as I put it onto the heel and then blend it in. What I'm doing here is rubbing alcohol on top of it. What that does is removes fingerprints. And then I baked it there just so that I wouldn't squish it, and you can see that I'm putting on one of the arms again with the same process as before. This is the process of making the hand. It's the most difficult process for me and takes the most time because it's just so tiny and so detailed. Hands are notoriously difficult to make for most artists, whether they're drawing or sculpting, and that's certainly true of me. I have a hard time with them. I spend a lot of time trying to make them look good, and I'm pretty happy with the way this guy's hands turned out. Here I am padding out the palm a little bit, blending it down with my color shaper tool. That's a rubber tipped tool that you can use to blend things in. I have a whole set of them with different shapes, but this is the one that I use most of the time. There's tons and tons of footage of me working on the hand, but I've cut it way down. You can see me attaching it to the wrist there. Now I'm working on the head. You can see that I made that main head out of the Sculpey Ultralight also so that it won't be heavy and difficult. I've completely covered it now in Super Sculpey, and I'm smoothing it out to begin working on the details. Here you can see me putting in the eyes. This is one of my favorite things, making the face. Is if I could just sculpt faces all day, I would probably do that. It's my most favorite part of the whole sculpture. I can put the most personality into the faces, and I think that's probably what my strong point is doing personality. There's lots of sculptors out there, and so many of them are way better than me in many areas, but I feel like I have good personality. Putting on the nose now, and that is also a very fun part for me, generally just shaping out the face. I like doing this part too. I use a little ball stylus to sculpt out the nostrils, and that really starts to make the nose and face come to shape. Putting on a little bottom lip here, and I'm smoothing it in with that same ball stylus that I used a second ago. Here I'm adding the eyebrows, which are very important for facial expression. That's why in a lot of cartoons you'll see them add eyebrows even to creatures that normally wouldn't have them. They're just very important. Right here I'm using a pin tool to put some hair detail into the eyebrows. You can see I put the tongue in just a minute ago. He's going to be pouring some beer into his mouth, and he's got his gob open, ready to catch the beer. Putting on the cheeks, which really help to sell that he's smiling and happy with them bunched up. And again, you can see me brushing it down with rubbing alcohol. Working on the ears now, attaching them to the head and smoothing that in. Blending it. I put a little bit of adhesive on that to help it stick after I bake it, and here you can see me putting on the ear lobe and shaping that in, blending it in. Here I'm roughing in the basic shape of the beard. I like to put big old beards on the gnomes. I think it's a cute look, and he's got some big sideburns there too. I will be adding detail to that later. I jump ahead here a little bit, and you can see that I put on a big curly mustache, and here I am carving in the shape of the hair. You can see the mustache there, and then I put all the hair in. Here I'm working on his little, I don't know what to call them, but like mohawk feathers along the top of his hair. I do like the way this turned out. You can see me adding Bake and Bond glue. That's a special glue used for polymer clay. It just helps things stay attached better if you don't want to squish them down or super blend them in so that they won't fall off. You can see the effect there that this little faux hawk thing has. And a tool that I made there in my hand a minute ago to add hair details. This is the, I don't know what you'd call them, vanity bubbles, just so that this sculpture will not be a Michelangelo's David with little bits showing. And strategically placed. Time finally for moving. I have obviously baked it by this point. I said time for moving, time for painting. I like to put the skin coat first before I go to any of the upper details, because you can always paint over the skin coat and you don't have to be super careful. I jump around a lot in my sculptures and painting, and you can see that I've jumped to the head now, even though I didn't finish the body, partly because the paint wasn't dry and I couldn't hold it without getting it on my hands. Here I'm doing what is called a wash. It's a darker shade of paint, usually watered down. You can also buy inks, but I'm cheap, so I just water down paint that's a darker color. You brush it on thickly, and then you wipe it off with a dry towel or something. And what it does is puts a shadow effect, or a shading, so to speak, down into the crevices of the thing. You can see the head up there is done, and I'm working on the body now. And it just gives it a neat texture. Going ahead and painting the hair now. I wanted to go with a different color than just the standard hair colors. So I went with this kind of a pale purple. I like the way it looks. It's a little different, but I like it. And just putting down the base, the flat color on the hair, going back and starting on the bubbles now. I'm putting sort of a darker shade of white to be the base, and then later I go in and put a brighter shade of white for highlights. I'm doing a wash on the hair now, and this one, the color turned out, I didn't end up having to wipe it down. It didn't wash out the highlights the way that a wash often will. So I just apply the wash and then let it dry. Painting the pink on the tongue now, and I later do put a wash on that. Here I'm gluing his little stein that I made. I don't have any footage of me making that. I don't know how I missed that, but there's his stein. Now what I'm doing is mixing the epoxy resin that will be the beer that he's bathing in, mixing that epoxy together, then blending in food coloring to try and come up with this nice golden beer color. I like that color. I would love to drink that beer. My favorite beer is an orange German beer called Schafferhofer, and it kind of things like. This is the finished product. He's got a coat of varnish to protect him. I've added some bubbles on top. You can see that the polymer, the epoxy resin has hardened, and this is what he looks like. And I am really pleased with how he turned out. I hope you like him too, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. And this is my dog, Veraxis, with that sculpture. Thanks for watching.